everyone. My name is Chip Boaz, and this is episode number 7 of my audio journal. And I've got so much to talk about today. So thank you for hanging out with me. I have had a great week off. As many of you know, I am a high school music teacher during the day. And while it's great to get out there and do music with young people, it's also great to have a little time to breathe and to focus on my own music. I did some great stuff this past week, had a great duo recording session with my good friend Amanda Adelman. I can't wait for all of you to hear those recordings. I got out to hear my good friend Nate Lopez play at the Blue Note here in Napa. If you've never heard Nate play, I would look him up online. He plays 8-string guitar where he's playing bass and guitar at the same time. It's so cool. And he's doing some really great things. So it was great to see him at a venue like that. And I got together with my good friend guitarist Lee Dines and played some music and talked a lot about culture and music, really inspiring stuff. So I'm feeling pumped up to keep the music coming and to connect with all of you. I hope you got a chance to see earlier this week too, I released a new performance video of me playing a song that I recently wrote called Nick's Special. It's kind of a funky jazz tune that I've really been enjoying. I've actually been playing it a lot this week, and I'm really looking forward to playing it with Amanda next week at Pongo's here in Petaluma. On Thursday night, the 27th, Amanda and I will be playing a night of duets there at Pongo's. If you've never been out to Pongo's, I highly recommend you come out and hang out with us, and let's make it a Boaz Brigade meetup. It has fantastic Thai food with a very unique flair. My favorite dish there is the Nick's Special. So I wrote this song specifically for Pongo's and for that yummy food that I'm looking forward to eating next Thursday after I play some music. This is going to be a special night too because my daughter Elizabeth will be in town with her friend Alex, and they're going to be playing some music with us, a couple tunes that night. So come on out and check it out. It'll be a Boaz family affair as well. And I had a great live stream this past Sunday, played some really fun tunes. I'm looking forward to doing that again this Sunday. So if you're hanging out on Facebook this Sunday around 1:30 on Sunday the 23rd of February, I'll be playing. So please come say hi, listen to some music, and see what is going on. Been a great week. I can't say that enough. I'm feeling so good right now. But I did want to talk about one thing today that doesn't always make me feel good, and it's something that I have had, well, any musician, and I think any person in life really has to deal with a lot through their lives, and that is dealing with negative criticism. It's really, I guess you could say it's funny because music is so personal to everyone. Now, as artists, it's very personal to us, and I think we get tied up in that emotional piece where our music is our art, and it's so personal, it's part of us, and we start equating our music with ourselves. But we have to remember that music, well, it feels very strongly connected to us. It belongs to the world, and it means a lot to a lot of people. I would say most people, whether or not they actually play an instrument, sing, perform, whatever it is, they have some sort of emotional connection with it. So we're all really tied up with this, and it gets really hard when we start hearing those critiques come flying at us, because it hurts our feelings, and it also digs really deep. And what the other person is saying is very meaningful to them, and that's really important to remember. So I have found that it's really important for me to develop some filters, things where you can really hold on to the things that are going to help you grow as a person and a musician, while putting all the other stuff aside. And sometimes, especially in today's online world where things are just flying at us constantly, it's really hard to do. And, honestly, sometimes it can be a tough distinction, because some of the things that we don't want to hear that might feel kind of hurtful because music's so personal to us are maybe the things that we need to hear as musicians, and the things where we need to reflect on ourselves in that aspect to grow into better musicians. So how do we kind of make those distinctions between the things that are helpful? How do we filter out the things that are not? Well, I don't know. I have to admit, having lived a few years on this earth, it does get a little easier the longer you do this, but it always gives you pause. I'll be honest, it always gives you pause, and it creates self-doubt, and it's hard to continue with. What I've found is the best thing to keep in mind is to really try to think of the critique from the angle of the person that's giving it, and look at what their motivation might be. Because, I think when you do that, it's really easy to contextualize stuff. Now, I kind of link this into a few different groups of motivations from different people. First off, I think it's pretty reasonable to accept that some people just might not like your music. And that's okay. There's lots of people in the world. And while I'm sure all of us artists would love for everyone to like our music on that mega superstar level, I think that's really unrealistic. Some people may not like the style of music we're playing. Some people may just not like the way that we interpret it. And that's okay. If they're coming from a place of, hey, that's not my thing, I get it, because there's lots of music that isn't my thing. And I don't listen to it. And if someone were to ask me about it, I might say, well, I don't really like it. So, I think that's one thing to just kind of take into account, that someone, when they say they don't like your music, it might be because that's just not their thing. Now, another group of critique that I hear a lot is from the experts, right? The people who feel like they're experts in maybe your musical genre, or maybe your instrument, or maybe just music in general, and they tell you how you should do things as opposed to how you are. And I find that frustrating sometimes, because then we're kind of going musician against musician, and I feel more like musicians should be supporting each other. But I think it's important to contextualize that in the sense of, if somebody is coming to you with something they think would benefit you, then they care. They care about you, they care about your music, and they really just want it to move to what they consider a higher place. So I think it's important at that point to take a step back yourself and think about, do I really value this person's opinion in music? And if I do, maybe I need to think deeper. And second of all, is what they're saying something that I should take into account and really try to integrate into my music? That's a really powerful thing when you take that perspective. And, on the other hand, if it's someone that you don't respect, or you don't think that advice is really going to benefit you, then just put it aside, right? And move on with your business because you got bigger and better things to do. Now, the last category of critique that I hear a lot is people who are just trying to be mean. They have had a bad day or they've got a chip on their shoulder and they just want to lash out at you. I get this a lot. It's really funny. I cannot tell you online, I hear this a lot as to people get really upset with me because I smile when I play music. And I think that's really ironic because I'm just having a good time. Every time I pick up my bass, I am loving it. And some people, it really offends them that I express that. And to me, okay, that's fine. But there's no validity behind that. That's just people really lashing out at me for some personal reason that I don't have time to explore with them. So that's stuff that I put aside. And I think it's important to realize that some people just feel better about themselves by trying to make you feel worse. And music is an easy target for that. So it's really important to put all of that stuff aside. So I encourage you to, next time you get some critique about your music, your playing, or anything you're doing in life, take a step back and think about where people are coming from when they're giving that critique and try to recontextualize about whether that's going to help you or not. And if it is, bring it in. And if it's not, put it aside and just move on. And believe me, as someone who deals with this on a daily basis, easier said than done. But, also lean on the people that can support you. And Boaz Brigade, I'm here for you. If you have something that is really a head scratcher and you're feeling really bummed out about some critique you got, send me a message. I'd love to chat about it and, help you kind of frame that a little bit. It's something that, I can't tell you. I've had this great week this week, but I have had many moments this week where I've had to take a step back about my music and really think through some things. And it's hard. So, lean on me, lean on the people around you, and keep moving forward, because I think that is the most important thing. That was on my mind a lot this week. As I said, that was something I dealt with a couple of times. So I wanted to share that with you. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Send me a message to chip@chipboazmusic.com. Put something in the comments below and let's converse about that, because it's something we all deal with. So this week, I talked about a few things that I really enjoyed musically, but I want to talk in particular about some inspiration that I felt too, my inspiring person of the week. And it's kind of funny that this person I'm saying is an inspiring person of this week, because it's someone who has inspired me so much over the years, and that is bassist Christian McBride. Now, Christian has been a hero of mine for a long time because he is a ferocious bass player. I love his sense of phrasing, his personality that rings through, especially on the upright bass, is so amazing. I love his electric playing. He gets funky on a very deep level. I think it's really cool. I also love that Christian has been a really outspoken advocate for jazz and has done a lot to move the music into the forefront of our attention, and really has done some classy things to make the music better. So I have admired and been inspired by Christian for a long time. But this week in particular, I have been listening to his album, The Movement Revisited, a musical portrait of four icons. And he released this a couple weeks ago now. And It is just so good on so many different levels. Now, this is an important social statement that speaks to the civil rights movement in the 60s through the voice of four icons: Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and Martin Luther King. And there's a great song at the end that kind of brings it into the present with a tribute to Barack Obama. I think music should have this connection to society, to real life. So to see it in Christians' work is really touching to me. I feel that too much of our music today is about production and popular trends and real surface level stuff. So I felt like this was a very deep statement and something that obviously means a lot to Christian. Some of the interviews I've read about him talking about this album have really mentioned how these figures really made him think a lot about life and about his place in the world. So I think it's pretty powerful that he's using music in that way. I also really like the fact that this is a large-scale, multi-movement piece of music. That's pretty powerful. In jazz, a lot of times we are dealing with songs, well, a lot of music, right? We're dealing with individual songs. And I think especially in today's streaming world, we've gotten to the point where there's this disconnect between songs where it's all about a single or, we've lost that connection of an album where music was grouped together because all the songs were connected in some way. So I really like the fact that Christian has taken this almost classical approach to creating a multi-movement piece that stands on its own as a large-scale piece of work to make a larger statement. I think that's really powerful. I love the way that he uses spoken word to make that happen. There's a lot of voices that read quotes from all of these people, and it really weaves into the music in a really powerful and meaningful way. And it reminds you about how impactful these people were to the world. To hear their words spoken over music, I think makes this, Christian's a wonderful composer, and I think the instrumental piece of this album is very potent, but I don't think it would have had the same impact without that spoken word. So it's really cool to hear that. And it's really cool to hear jazz intertwined into this large-scale work in a way that doesn't degrade the style. It's still very jazz, even though it's in a format that may be more linked with classical music. It's very much a jazz album, and I love that about it. And of course, at the end of the day, Christian, you're just an amazing bass player. And his playing on the album, as always, is top-notch and very inspiring, and it's a great listen to just sit back and really cue in on his bass parts, because as always, Christian does some great work. So I encourage you to check it out. It's called The Movement Revisited, a musical portrait of four icons by Christian McBride. It's available everywhere, and it's a very inspiring piece of work. So please do check that out. Now, we've got some questions of the week happening. Last week, I talked about what I wanted to be when I grew up. I always wanted to draw comic books, and that was something I talked about last week. And I got some great feedback from the Boaz Brigade about what other people wanted to be when they grew up. So I wanted to share a couple of those with you. My good friend Cesar Landayeta said, at 5 or 6 years of age, I wanted to be a fireman. The truck, the dog, and the uniform. Classic. I love it. Then at 8, I changed and wanted to become a combat pilot. My father put my feet on the ground when he took me to the aviation headquarters. Right there, I decided I better wait until I'm 18 to think again on my future plans. Yeah, it's really funny how our goals change when we're young. We really want to be one thing when we're younger, and then life happens, right? We go in different directions. I would wonder, Cesar, did you ever, fly a plane? I would wonder if, you may not be a combat pilot these days, but did you ever get that chance to fly? That's an interesting question. I'd love to hear that. My good friend Stephen Cox said, at 7, I wanted to be a trumpet player. And at 12, I wanted to be a BMX freestyle rider. Oh, so cool, right? So cool. What great goals. Well, great goals, but we're lucky Stephen didn't go in either of those directions. Stephen is a fantastic bass player, very inspiring guy to listen to. Plays the U bass, does some amazing things on there. Also does some great ukulele work. Check him out on Instagram, Facebook, all the places. YouTube, follow Steven's YouTube channel. He has some great videos of him playing and doing some different things. I haven't seen any BMX freestyling on his YouTube channel, but I've heard a lot of great bass playing. So thanks, Steven, for sharing that. Now, this week's question is a good one. It's if you could visit one place in the world that you've never been, where would you go? Now, it's funny in thinking about this, I have a long list. I feel like I haven't really traveled the world that much. I think there's still a lot of places I would love to go. I really want to get to Europe one day. I would love to visit Brazil, Argentina, Africa, so many places that I'd love to visit. But if I had to choose one, I would absolutely go to Cuba and hear lots of music there and hopefully play with some musicians on the island. I have spent a better part of my life listening to, appreciating, and studying the music of Cuba, but I've never been, and I hope to at one day to go down there and to get a chance to play with people, to get a chance to hang out, listen to music, and really appreciate the beauty of the island. Fingers crossed. Life goals, one of these days. So I'll keep you updated on that goal. Now, where do you want to go? I've heard from a couple of you already this week, but if you have a destination that you've dreamed about getting to but never gone, leave it in the comments below. You can send me a message and I'll share it next week on the next audio journal. I think that wraps it up for this week. Thanks for hanging out with me. I highly encourage you to sign up to join the Boaz Brigade and get on my mailing list. I send out a weekly free MP3 download of a different song each week, an exclusive song that you're not going to find on Spotify or Apple Music or anything like that. It's just special, just for the Boaz Brigade. And if you sign up, you'll be getting that on a weekly basis. I also keep you up to date on everything I'm doing and share some special things with you. So you can find that link in the down below in the description, in the comments, and just click that and sign up to be a part of that special group of people. All right, everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will catch you in audio journal number 8 next week. Thanks.